Hey guys, what's up? This is Naxxramas here from Primalwow. I'm gonna be making a quick updated video for the how to play Holy Paladin video. Basically because it has been like 9 months or something like that since I've made the previous how to play Holy Paladin video. And there have been some things that have changed over the course of all the months. So that's the reason why I'm currently making this video. At the moment, as I'm making this video, we are progressing through Naxx. So there are also a lot more boss fights and newer talent specs you might want to use in terms of rotation, balancing of stats and spells as well. So a lot has been going on as of late. So yeah, but yeah, I'm continuing to talk in circles. But anyway, let's start the video right here. So let's first start with the rotation. The rotation has not changed that much. The thing I still use mainly is quick flash of light pops and also pop a holy shock. One thing that has definitely changed is the amount that you can melee. I have covered in previous videos that meleeing is kind of what you want to do as a Holy Paladin, since you are sort of a melee. And that's because of your Seal of Wisdom again. And the Seal of Wisdom gives you back 4% of your maximum mana. Whenever you, or it has a chance to give you mana back whenever you auto attack, and it can also proc from your judgment. So you kind of are a melee, so you try to move into a mob or any target really and attack it so you can get mana back. So you still want to do that, of course. I will show some rotation later at the target dummies. But another major thing that has changed is that let's first cover like what they're doing in raids and dungeons here. Raids and dungeons have a mana cost increase, and that ranges from 200 to 300%. Mana cost increase, and previously this also applied to your Holy Shock, but they have removed that for a couple months now, 1 or 2 months I think it has been removed. So your Holy Shock is currently your best spell, not only in terms of mana cost but also in terms of the amount it heals. So your Holy Shock is your best healing spell without a doubt. So always use that when it's off cooldown. It barely costs any mana, and because of that, MP5 has also become less valuable, so to speak. So yeah, you definitely want to use Holy Shock a lot more than what you did, or any Holy Paladin really did previously. Holy Light I only use whenever there is a possibility and I have my Divine Favor of cooldown, which again, like I said in the previous video as well, it guarantees it as a crit. So something that has changed with the stats, I'll just quickly cover that here. Like I said, MP5 is not as useful anymore as it used to be. I mean, I still have MP5 on my items, but I feel that Intellect is your best stat at the moment because of the extra crit, the higher mana pool again. So getting mana back is not as important anymore as it used to be, although you'll still find yourself getting mana back from hits, and it's what you have to do all the time. So you're relying less on your MP5 at the moment. Spell power is another thing I have been getting more of, since you like usually you would have like very low heals, like currently I'm healing like 1000 or something, but in raids it's going to be around 300 for me personally, without it being a crit. And that also depends on the amount of buffs you get and stuff, but yeah, spell power is a thing as well right now. So for me personally, what I found is that the best items you can get at the moment are items that have a balance between intellect, spell power and MP5, like this tier 3 piece over here. And this is a great example because it's like kind of like the perfect piece. It has a major, like a high amount of intellect. So it, like the focus of the item is on the intellect, and then it gives you a bit of spell power and a little bit of MP5. I think that is kind of the itemizations you want to go for here. So currently I would say intellect is the most important stat, and after that you get spell power and MP5, and they're kind of the same level of how important they are. Although for me personally, like I said, I don't really have any mana problems at the moment, mainly because the intellect as well, so I tend to feel that I'd rather have a little bit more spell power than MP5. But neglecting MP5 is not a great idea either. So yeah, anyway, so those are the stats. I'll quickly go over the talents again. I mean, not that much has changed in the talents. I think they're the exact same. And now that Holy Shock is even better than it already was. You definitely want to get Sanctified Light at least as well for your extra crit, because of course your Illumination still gives your mana back on crits as well. So you got your Blessing of Wisdom here. I think you should still take this. Lay on Hands definitely, and everything else. And of course you get the Retribution thing. I already covered this in the previous video. You get Judgment, Improved Judgment. You want to use Judgment as much as you can, because believe it or not, if you are the Paladin that uses Judgment of Light, and I'm currently the one doing that for my guild, mainly because I have a set bonus which gives me extra healing for Judgment of Light. Yeah, so you wanna have that decreased cooldown. But like I was trying to say, believe it or not, that Holy Paladins actually top meters, even though it doesn't show up right now here. That's because Judgment of Light doesn't show up as the Paladin's spell. It actually shows up for every individual. Like for this warrior, he has 36k Judgment of Light healing from my Judgment of Light healing. This hunter 15k, another hunter 18k. So this stacks up. These are for like 40 people. This stacks up, so it's let's say like 30k. It's not for everyone 30k, but say every person in this raid had like 10k from my Judgment of Light, and that's for the melee and for the ranged and stuff, and maybe for some shamans as well. I'm not too sure, but that might be around 200k extra healing. So that means I would get very close to actually topping meters here. So let's just quickly see what this priest has done in terms of healing. Okay, so not that much of Judgment of Light. So this priest was actually topping meters. But you are on the top, even though it doesn't always show it, and it also depends on how experienced you are, of course, and your gear a bit as well. So let's see if there's anything else I want to cover. Currently, I mean, I've covered the stats, I've covered the items, I've covered the rotation a little bit. Like I said, I will go to the target dummies soon as well. Oh yeah, before I want to continue to target dummies, I want to quickly cover some of the consumables, because one of the consumables have been wow, I can't even talk anymore. There has been a consumable that has been added to the list. It used to be 5, it's currently 6. The food buffs you want are Sagefish Delight, Nightfin Soup, and Runtum Tuber Surprise. That's the new food buff. So this one gives you 8 MP5 for 15 minutes. This one gives you 10 MP5 for 10 minutes. And this one gives you 10 intellect for 10 minutes. And these all stack, by the way. So Sagefish you can get from, well, fishing. And you can just cook them if you have cooking, so you need to level that if you want to make them. But you can, there's a good spot in Stranglethorn Vale in the north near the goblins, like that little river or lake there. There are schools for Sagefish Delight there. Nightfin is also from fishing. You can get those from Moonglade. So you have to fish over there, and it's a random it's a random chance you get one of those. And this runtime tuber is from Dire Mall East, if I remember correctly. If you want to be able to make the item with cooking, you first need to kill like a mini boss in the Dire Mall East. It's Pusilin. It's like the little I wanted to say Murloc, but it's not a Murloc. It's like a goblin thing. I'm not sure what it's called. One of those. Oh, it's an imp. I'm pretty sure. And that imp, you have to talk to him. Then he runs around, and then you kill him, and you get the recipe. There is a way of getting the runtime tuber on this server in a decent way. Like, it doesn't take that much time, I think. From these three, if you know what you're doing, this one is the easiest to farm as well. You can get a lot of them very fast. So yeah, then the next one is Brilliant Mana Oil. The same, you get them. I think an enchanter can make them. I'm not too sure, so don't quote me on that. But and of course your Flask of Distilled Wisdom, which gives you intellect, your most important stat. So you want to make them as well, or get them, however you want to do that. And then your sixth consumable is going to be Major Mana Potions. Well, these two are from alchemy. So yeah, one thing I just forgot, and I just thought about this, is that with a lot of fights now, in AQ 40, Nax, not yet, but I'm pretty sure that will come up eventually. Like an example in AQ 40 is Princess Huhuran. And for her you need soakers with nature resistance gear. And another very good thing that paladins can do on this fight specifically is get like some sort of Holy Paladin support spec. And I'm using this as the support spec. I could spend a little bit more time on that. I got some things that change here. I got Purifying Power, because you are cleansing a lot in that fight. And in most of those fights you are usually cleansing a lot. But the main thing you really want is these two. These divine sacrifice, because what they do is you basically redirect damage onto yourself from the party. That's this one, and this one reduces raid damage, like for the whole raid, by 20%, and that's 6 seconds. And the one that redirects damage onto you is 10 seconds, I think. Yeah, it says 10 seconds. So what you usually want to do is, as a soaker, this is just an example for the Huhuran fight, this might work on more fights later on. What you do is you make sure that you take a lot of damage onto yourself, pop this thing, and at that point you bubble. So you're basically immune to any damage, and you are still taking a lot of damage from all your party members onto you. And also all of the damage that comes onto you, you're immune to that, and the whole rate is also has 20%. So in essence, if a party member would have 50% reduced damage taken if you would pop your Divine Sacrifice for 10 seconds. Although, well, it would be 30% for the last 5 seconds, of course. 4 seconds, I mean. So yeah, I think that covers most of what is important at the moment. I already kind of covered the rotation, so yeah, I think it's time to move on to the target dummies now. So see you there. Right, so I'm just quickly going to cover a more advanced part of your rotation, because of course, as a healer in general, and also as a Holy Paladin, you don't have a specific rotation that you use, but you're kind of looking at the situation, moving around, see whoever needs healing. So that's of course how you play. You don't have a specific rotation, but there are a couple techniques I personally like to use, and I try to give other Holy Paladins advice on this as well. So most of the time, if you actually are lower on mana, of course you also always want to hit a target, use your judgment whenever possible, and whenever you have your Holy Shock off cooldown, and this is mainly for mana efficiency as well, what you would do is you would quickly pop your Holy Shock on someone, and at that point, when you have done that, you immediately go back to an auto attack. And due to that, you can continue to get mana back all the time. Still use your Holy Shock, and now that Holy Shock's mana cost, it will always be the same, and it will be very low. One Holy Shock or one auto attack will probably give you more mana back. Yes, it definitely will. I think it will give you like twice the mana back, or even almost even 3 times the mana back, depending on the buffs you have, and also if it crits. And Holy Shock in raids does crit a lot, I have to say. It crits a lot if you have the right gear as well, but also with some world buffs. Sometimes I can get up to 45% crit, 50% crit, and that's without the 6% increase. It doesn't show that in this list right here. So yeah, constantly auto attack whenever possible. Holy Shock immediately, and in between that you immediately go back to auto attacking. So of course you are constantly moving around, and I found that you don't have to worry that much about your mana at all anymore now with your Holy Shock as well in raids and stuff. So you're constantly just moving around, and then whenever you're like, oh, I can just quickly hit that target, judgment hit, and then you know you had like that judgment, and you had one auto attack, and you can, if you have to move from A to B, you can quickly do that. So and like I said, judgment can also proc your Seal of Wisdom. So actually you could just have 2 procs, and for me personally that would be around 800 mana, something like that, which you get back if they both proc. Right now I only get like back 286, I think. But yeah, that would be around 400 if you're in a raid and you have flasks and consumables on and stuff like that. So yeah, I think that mainly covers it. To be honest, of course, you can also talk a little bit about salvation, but that depends on your guild, how your guild wants to run salvations and stuff like that. Just make sure that you listen to your raid leader or whoever holds authority over that. That sounds a bit weird, holding authority, but whatever. So yeah, that covers most of it. So thank you guys for watching. If you have any questions, you can hit me up in game. I'm usually online during the evenings, during raid time, so that would be around 7 PM GMT +1 European time, kind of. So yeah guys, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you on the servers.